Well, hey guys, welcome to day two on our journey through to own the word, right? To own it, to own our foundation, our passion, to own the word, to know what the word says. And we're on this journey as a church to read the Bible through in a year. And yesterday was an exciting day for me as we kicked it off. And then for those of you following along on YouVersion, reading together, that we were able to kind of discuss certain things. We kind of talked about Job's wife and good, bad, and different, where's she at? And iron sharpens iron that way. And I'm excited for that. And I hope that some of you that maybe aren't on YouVersion utilize these, either Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, as an opportunity to discuss or discussing with your family members, those that remember the kids are reading their stories as well and talking through that. What's going on. Utilize those opportunities to again to disciple, to iron sharpens iron, to strengthen each other. And today, as I was reading, there's a lot in there as we read through a couple more chapters in Genesis and then into Job. But there's one thing I wanted to highlight. One thing I thought was very interesting. Found in the 5th chapter of Genesis, which is the chapter really focused on the generations from Adam to Noah. So from creation to God's destruction of the world because of sin and how things had changed. And we can kind of get lost in the numbers there because, it say things like, Jared lived 162 years and then he fathered Enoch and then he lived another 800 years. So all of his years were 96. And it can kind of get monotonous and boring. But understand that the even though the goal is to get from Adam to Noah, one of the things we've got to recognize is there's some truths specifically about the man Enoch. He's 65 and he the oldest man ever. For those of you that know your Sunday school trivia, Enoch walked with God after he had fathered Methuselah 300 years and had other sons and daughters. Thus, all the days of Enoch was 365 years. Now, if we understand, all these other guys are 800, 900 years, 777 years, a long time. Enoch, we have 365 years. But then it says in verse 24, Enoch walked with God, and he was not, for God took him. Actually, the book of Hebrews, if you go to Hebrews, it actually talks about Enoch as well as a man of faith. And what's interesting to me with Enoch is it starts out with Enoch had lived 65 years, he fathered Methuselah. Verse 22, Enoch walked with God after he had fathered Methuselah 300 years. And then again in verse 24, Enoch walked with God. And it made me think about Adam and Eve, and that they would walk with God in the cool of the day. It says that they would spend time, be intimate, and recognizing that this short little paragraph, 21 to 24, there's a ton in there, and one of the most mysterious and incredible moments happens. Enoch does not die. The book of Hebrews tells us the same thing. Enoch does not die. God takes him. And it makes me think about this idea of what we were really created for. Adam and Eve were created to be to walk with God, to be in an intimate relationship with God. And we don't see that intimate relationship again until we come to Enoch. Multiple generations, thousands of years later, we come up with Enoch, who is walking. And we don't see this again until Elijah and the chariots of fire that come down, right? But it's almost a different piece. And I wonder as a Christian, and I wonder as myself, as we think about owning our relationship with God, that we have responsibility. I wonder how many of us, and myself included, as I think through this, man, do I have such a passion for God? That's a man who's walked with me. That's a man who daily is spending time with me to the point that it pleased God so much. Enoch's relationships with God, it pleased God so much that he grabs him and says, okay, Now spend full time with me. No more obstructions, no more people, no more worries, no more concerns. You just need to spend time with me. I think we need to recognize as children of God is that is God's ultimate design. From Genesis to Revelation, that's what we see. God's desire is to be in a relationship, an intimate relationship with us. And so the question I think for you and I to ask ourselves as we're reading through this word, as we're going through, how do I become a man like Enoch? How do I become a man who, or a woman that walks with God daily? And I think the first thing that we need to recognize, the first starting point for us, is to recognize we've not arrived at the level of the relationship in which we could have. Meaning this, that our relationship with God could be more incredible than it is right now. That it will be more fruitful than it is right now. That there is an ability to dive into such a deep relationship with God that we actually walk with God. We don't just kind of mix or just have a bypass moment with God, but that we walk daily with God. So as you go through your day to day, ask yourself, am I walking with God? Am I walking with God? And then the other question, which is such a big one, is am I comfortable with the relationship I have with God? Is this the best it's going to get? Because let me tell you what the word tells me is that relationship can be better than you can ever imagine.